Good afternoon. I'm Thomas Hood, your host. We're with YourTown TV in Heritage Harbor here in Monterey. It's been a while since we've had a chance to talk, and we've got an interesting conversation today with a good friend of mine and fellow board member from Carmel Heritage Society, located in beautiful downtown Carmel. My guest today is a gal that's been on the peninsula about 23 years, which means she's not a local yet. That takes 40 years. After growing up in a small town in South Carolina, she had both a bachelor's and master's in education, worked in Washington in a trade association, high-rise development in LA, regional director for American Cancer Society, and now she's with us with Sotheby's Real Estate in Carmel. I want you to meet Jen Weathers. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, Tom.
How have you been?
I've been great. Very busy. It's
Yeah.
a busy time in real estate.
Well, I appreciate your taking some time out to come and talk with us today.
Oh, absolutely.
But a
My
couple
pleasure.
of things would be right up your alley. You've been here long enough to have a good feel for what it's like living on the peninsula. I'm a newcomer. It's 14 years from now. But what I'd like to talk about today, I think our audience will enjoy this, is a little bit about Carmel, a little bit of Carmel history, specifically houses, since that's right up your alley in professional real estate, and then give a plug for our mutual board, Carmel Heritage Society,
Great.
about our upcoming tour on June 25th.
Okay, be happy to.
Good. Well, what I'd like to do is start off by just asking you a most basic question: is of all the places you've lived and all the places and all the jobs you've had, how did you decide to end up in Carmel and specifically in real estate?
Okay, well, I'll start with how did I end up here. I was living in Los Angeles, drove up for a weekend in Carmel. That was going to be it. I went to the Mission Ranch where I met a man. So I always say I moved for love because I married him 4 months later, and here
Wow.
I am still.
So Carmel truly is the most romantic place in the
I
United
would say
States.
so. I can attest to that.
Well, what's interesting is you actually said you planned a trip up here. There are innumerable people, personalities in Carmel that now own multiple businesses. And the story I always hear is, I was driving up to visit my mom and I ran out of gas. So yours was premeditated.
It was premeditated, yes, just to enjoy a little getaway from Los Angeles, and getaway I did.
I get the sense that a lot of people may come here for just a short visit, and in the back of their mind they either say, I want to go back there again, or what would it be like to actually live on the peninsula? So when you meet people that come to town, let's say they come to town for the first time, okay, and they have that notion, gee, honey, could we live here? What do they ask, and what do you say to them?
Well, they asked that. How can I live here? How is it possible? So I just start by describing the community, what I think, if you listen to people long enough, you can really hear what their interests are and what would make this a great environment for them, what would make it a great community. And then as a real estate agent, of course, I get into where would you like to live, what's your style of house, and what do you look for. So we really kind of take it from the wide down to just their personal residence.
So it's not only lifestyle, it's a financial decision, but also ultimately it comes down to what kind of nest do you want to live in.
Exactly,
And I use that word
yes.
intentionally because Carmel houses, some of them call them wooden tents, the older ones, and there are some beautiful estate properties, but a lot of them are about just nurturing, living in a small town on a small lot with a small house and being part of the community.
I've had people say, well, I'm coming from a 5,000 square foot home in Minneapolis or wherever. And I say, well, remember, you needed a full basement probably to stay in during the winter months. Now you can
During
just go to
tornado
the
season.
beach. Now you can just simply go to the beach and consider that your backyard.
Well, for those of people that have yet to visit Carmel or just love looking at old pictures, let's bring up the first couple images here to sort of get us oriented as to how special and how tiny Carmel is.
Great.
Let's take a look at our first one here. Okay, world famous. There we are looking at the beach, probably down around 13th Street, looking off towards Pebble off to the far left there. Everyone recognizes that as one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. And then downtown, let's take a look at this one. Okay.
Yeah, how about that?
I mean, there's a European sense to this in terms of scale, materials, the storybook cottage image, which we'll talk a little bit later. And where else can you go? And I heard a gentleman say this the other day, another real estate agent. He said, where else could you go where you could walk to dinner with your wife after work? Right? And that little passage there is sort of gives people the sense of, it's not really a false history, but it's a created history that really exists throughout the United States in bits and pieces.
Yes.
But Carmel is unique in that with 1 square mile, that it was created that way and it's kept that way.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, charm is really the ultimate word for it, because it's just, and there's a preciousness to it. You know, you just feel like everything is precious. Little alleys, little cottages, just the way people live. And you know, I'm from the South, as you can probably tell, you mentioned. And it is so warm and friendly, just a really hospitable place to.
Let's take a look at how it came to evolve
Okay.
to the point where we are today. Let's take a look at these next images, just kind of a background here, because it has a direct influence on buildings here today. Okay, here we go. Here's Devendorf, I believe, and he's up above Carpenter, and there's downtown in the background. So that's what,
come a
about
long way.
1905 maybe,
I think
1910.
so.
Open fields. Now here's the map of Carmel that people have, if they haven't seen this, gridded streets laid out originally as a Catholic retreat. Devendorf and Powers bought up 900 lots in one day, and basically the town is the gridded portion with 1 square mile.
Right.
And
It's
about how
amazing.
many houses? About 6,000 houses?
I would say 6,000. I think there's 4,000
Okay.
population. Many are part-time,
Yeah.
but you know, there's some real residents here full-time, and
Well,
that's what makes it a real community.
There's something about this, and I'll go off on urban design here for about 10 seconds. It's constricted by plan, right? The lots were intentionally made small, 40 by 100, which I think originally sold for $500, something like that.
Sounds right.
And the developer would finance, and he would, as I understood it, I saw some photographs of this, is that he would actually walk up to a family that's, you know, immigrated from someplace. They bought their lot, and they're sitting there with a little cook stove and a pub tent. And as the story goes, he would walk up and give them little saplings of Monterey cypress or oaks. And the idea was, we're going to live in a wooded community, plant this tree in your property, and that's what kind of got it all started.
Yeah.
But your property's only 40 feet wide by 100 feet deep, so you got to build small.
Yes,
right?
And you know as well as anyone, it's maximum lot coverage is 40%, so you end up with a 1,600 square foot home, which
That's it.
you know is cozy.
You got to make use of every square foot.
Right, exactly. And a good architect like you can do that.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Well, we're going to go through the rest of these images as we talk, and we'll be showing images of the home tour and a few other historic homes that sort of frame out the overall character. So let's go to this next image.
Okay.
All right, there we go. Downtown back then.
Yeah.
Right. And most of those buildings are still here.
Yes, that's
The
true.
street's the same with Ocean Avenue. The trees are huge now. And as we kind of move into the present here, we're going to show another one. Okay, here's our headquarters.
Yes,
Right.
Carmel Heritage
Built by
Society.
M.G. Murphy, staying in the back with his mother and his sister, built in, I believe, 1903.
I think so.
He moved down here, I think, from up north, built this little cottage for his family, was later picked up and moved to its present location. We're right at, 6th and Lincoln. And that's, for those of you who haven't been there, that's Carmel Heritage Society World Headquarters.
And it's open to the public,
Open to
and
the public.
people can go and look at wonderful exhibits there of the history, which
Right.
one is coming up, as you know, featuring Hugh Comstock.
Exactly.
So there will be a great exhibit opening this Thursday night, the 20...
Week from Thursday.
Yes, exactly.
21st.
A week from Thursday. So, yeah, come by, 5 to 7.
That'd be great. It'd be fun. Okay, let's take a look at some of these houses. All right, a little bit of background for those of you who are familiar with Mission Ranch. This is Clint Eastwood's ranch. This is what Carmel looked like at River's Edge. Farm buildings, cattle grazing, artichoke fields. That's kind of where we started. There's the scale of a typical Carmel house today. Okay, a little bit smaller. Let's go to this next one here. Another famous. Okay, so you had ranchers, you had fishermen. This is right on Scenic Avenue. 2 original cottages for fishermen. They'd come right up on the beach. And then these were later combined into one structure. But there's the scale of 2 houses in Carmel, which are on our historic
Right.
register. And we go to the next one here. What do we got coming up here? Okay, then you have more famous people.
Right.
Robinson Jeffers,
Right?
hand-built, pulling rocks off the beach, and he built Tor House and the Hawk Tower using his own 2 hands.
That is certainly worth a visit.
It's
to
fantastic.
anyone who's here, coming here, I would highly recommend
No, have
that
you been
tour.
to Dothan over there?
I have not.
I think it would be once I eventually move in retirement, have time to go
Oh,
go
yeah.
through that over there. So then, okay, now here's probably the most famous house in Carmel. Talk about scale. Here's 300 square feet, built by Hugh Comstock for his wife and her Otsy-Totsy doll collection. Not every house in Carmel is this small, but not every house is this famous either.
Right.
So
very
this is
true.
kind of the start of the storybook tradition, and I believe we've got one of Comstock's homes that people can go in inside and see what it's like to live in one of these.
Yes,
Let's
on
take a look at this
tour.
next one here. Okay. Before we get to that one, here's what I want to ask is, what makes Carmel special as a real estate agent? There you saw a happy couple, leaning on their Dutch door. It's not staged. I mean, people really do live that way.
Yes, it is a wonderful place to sell real estate. The entire peninsula is. Carmel has a unique, it just has so many unique features. It has the beach. It has downtown, which is very special. It has a lifestyle with the Sunset Center. You're not going to miss too many great performances if you subscribe or just attend the Sunset Center events. And you've got great restaurants. And it's just a wonderful place. People seem to just fall in love. Look at me as an example, but I also fell in love with the area, and it's been a great place to live. I've been here for 23 years, and it's just got so many great things, including a great community.
That's wonderful. Okay, now coming up on the tour, we're going to give people kind of a peek as to what's coming up on the 23rd. Let's take a look at our first one here. Next one. There we go. All right, Pink House.
Yes. Okay, I have a particular attachment to this. I was standing in it when it was on for sale. Didn't look a thing like this.
Was it pink back then?
Yes. Oh, it was pink, yes. So I called some folks, the Herbst, and I said, maybe not for you, but you've just got to come see this. Well, obviously the story is that they bought it and they completely remodeled it down to just every feature, everything that represented Comstock, the builder, the original builder.
So this is circa probably what, 1925,
Yep.
28, thereabouts? Okay, at that point, as you're probably well aware, there was a huge influence from Hollywood and set designers that were recreating, buildings in the past, and they were transporting people by film to distant places and even another time. So in the context of architectural history, it's more than a footnote, and Carmel certainly got its share. If you combine the fact that a lot of people came to Carmel as artists, writers, educators, poets, musicians, designers, great place to escape,
The
apply their
Bohemian
craft.
community.
Exactly, the whole true Bohemian community. Yeah, oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's
Let's see
great.
what else we got here. Okay, not all houses in Carmel are small. So do you represent clients that are looking for something larger like this? And
I
can
do.
help find them?
We just look and we talk to people and say, do you know anything coming? Because you don't always, it's good to know ahead of time, which is great for a realtor because we have great relationships with other realtors who have pocket listings, as we call them. And they'll let you know in advance, so we get to share that with clients who are looking for something like that.
So a pocket listing is one that's just quietly coming available.
Yes, you might say discreetly marketed.
Okay. In other cities, it might be a suitcase listing, but in Carmel, everything being
It's
small,
a pocket, yeah.
it's a very small pocket.
Right, yes.
Well,
Perfect group.
when you have people come to Carmel and you start working with a couple saying, we're going to make the move, we're going to sell the house in Minneapolis, and we're going to come here. What are the most common questions that they initially ask? You're trying to get an understanding as to how they might fit into this community. It's a big change. What are the first kind of questions that they usually ask?
Well, they ask price ranges. That's always a consideration, and we're very good at providing them with things within their budget, and we provide what we call comparables so they can see that this is a fair price or not, and then we can help negotiate them to get to that price. But we really kind of listen to what it is they desire. Some people want to walk to town for dinner, and that really sets their parameters, which is great because then you know what you're working with. And then sometimes we say, well, really, have you ever considered, for example, Carmel Highlands or Carmel Valley? And we at least get them kind of an orientation to what's possible there. And it's great when they say, no, I'm really committed to the lifestyle I want that Carmel offers. So
That's
we
great.
work within that.
So you're in the glove business,
Right.
not the mitten business.
Right.
That's what I say
exactly.
about my work as an architect. Let's see what else we got coming up on this tour. Okay, arts and crafts style, common throughout the United States. Hey, I have not been in this house yet.
Yes, I have. When it was for sale, and it'll be on the tour this Saturday the 23rd. But this is a wonderful house to see that style, and it's really been, as they call it, just really nicely rehab to restore it.
Well, let's keep going these.
Yeah.
So basically, we've got a pretty good range.
We do.
Okay, here, this is what
Hydrangea
Hill, original small cottage, remodeled by the current owners. Huge on the inside. These houses are deceiving some when you walk in with open space.
Well, this one used to be 2 rental cottages with the main house.
Okay.
So what these owners did, or the owners before actually, they made it all one house. The rental units were incorporated, but the house got bigger as a result. It's a
charming on the
darling
inside.
house.
It really
oh,
is.
yes.
Okay,
Very
probably one of the second most famous houses
Yes,
in Carmel. Aside from local designers here on the peninsula, we had a few international figures. One of them is Frank Lloyd Wright,
Yes.
which he did for Mrs. Walker right there on Carmel Point. Probably the second most famous house in Carmel.
Yes, I would
And
say
that's
so.
that's like stepping into a clamshell in the living room or a wooden submarine when you get into this. The
Yes.
sense of scale.
Oh, it's just
is
great.
remarkable.
It
Here's
is
a
on
couple
the
of shots
tour.
here.
Yep. And
Yeah.
you'll get to see inside on
It's
the tour.
striking. It really is fascinating, and this will be on our tour. It has to be because I'm a docent. I'll be in the kitchen for the third time talking about that.
Fabulous. I've been in there.
It's
as a
it's just
docent.
an amazing space if you admire Frank Lloyd Wright's work. The compression of space, the
There's the
kitchen,
kitchen.
fitted almost like a submarine. It's really
Yes.
kind of remarkable. Now we're going to move forward to the next image here. Now we're up to present day. We started at 1903. Now we're up to, this is 2016. This is Bill Hayward's house. Okay.
Casa Bianca,
All right.
he calls it.
Now this is I want to call it a contemporary building with the highest building performance equipment available on the planet, but again in the context of cottage in terms of materials and scale. Have you been through this house? What
I
can you
have
tell us?
not. So
Okay.
that's going to be on my list on the tour. To
So
get
this is
to
kind of
see.
invisible high tech, but in the context of these small houses.
Yeah, they have
in
so
Carmel.
many incredible energy efficient features
Yeah.
that I really can't wait to see it and see what those are. It's the first Hayward Healthy Home.
Well, let's take our last image here. There's our headquarters again, and we got to stop. We got to end with a shot of Carmel Beach. June 23rd, carmelheritage.org is the
Yes.
website for tickets.
Yes, June 23rd, 1 to 5, carmelheritage.org. You can go online and order tickets. You can call the office. I'll give you that number, 831-624-4447. So we hope to see you on the tour.
Saturday, June 23rd. Come and take a peek behind some of the gates in Carmel and come down and spend the weekend. Have some fun. Thomas Hood, your host. Thanks for joining us today with YourTown and with my guest, Jen Withers. Jen, thanks again for coming over
Oh,
today.
it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Pleasure seeing you today.